everybody? Man up here with my normal tag team partners. Go ahead and ring that bell. All righty. Today's show is going to be about wrestling families. What do I mean about wrestling families? I mean, we're covering from those that are real family members to those that were made you believe they were family members. We're going to go ahead and get more into that topic. But first, I do have to say I think this is going to be one of my favorites, if not already my favorite. Now, Mr. Cedric, what do you think when I say wrestling families? What's the first thing come to your mind?
Well, when I hear wrestling family, I'm thinking like, oh, these guys are they're blood, they're fighting together, and they're ready to take on the wrestling world. That's what I'm thinking about when I hear wrestling family. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, definitely the same thing. Sometimes, but sometimes it's relation by marriage. You know, we've seen in some groups and family groups, and you know, sometimes what makes it cool to me is whenever, you know, these two family members could have feuded, but when somebody else comes after them, then they get back together and hook back up, and then it's a family thing. And I kind of like that dynamic.
Oh yeah. So I want everybody to sit back, get your popcorn, enjoy the show. Let's go ahead and get started here.
Go ahead. Well, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, sir.
Definitely one of the families that folks immediately come to mind is the Hart family.
Yep.
Stu Hart and his slew of kids.
and sons-in-law.
Sons-in-law. So let's go ahead and break this down. So of course, the patriarch of the family is Stu Hart. No grappler. Promoter of Stampede Promotion in Calgary. But we also know his kids. Of course, Bret the Hitman Hart, Owen Hart, Bruce Hart, Keith Hart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The heart that's beeping out your chest right now. What do you think about that, Joey?
Well, also, and jumping on the Hart family, and I said the sons-in-law. We talk about the Anvil, Jim Neidhart. You're talking about the British Bulldog, Davy Boy Smith. You know, also considered members of that Hart family and dynasty there. And then you move on to that next generation. And we were mentioning offline. I mentioned Teddy Hart. You know, grandson of Stu Hart, and then you also got Harry Smith, another grandson of Stu Hart, who's had a heck of a long, great career now, and Natalya.
Exactly.
Now, when I first thought about this topic, the two families popped in my head right away.
Okay.
And no, I'm not talking about the bloodline. I'm talking about The Rock and his dad, of course, Rocky Johnson.
Okay.
Then I immediately thought about Randy Orton and Cowboy Bob Orton.
Okay.
Senior.
Yeah.
All right. But let's go ahead and dissect that though. Let's go ahead and dissect your first one.
Okay.
Because yes, we have Rocky Johnson and his son Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock. But we all know where that lineage is going, because The Rock's mom is part of the Anoa'i family, and that's a rabbit hole waiting to just go down here.
Oh yeah, this can be a topic that we could talk about for days.
Just going along with that family, High Chief Peter Maivia, and it all branches off from there.
Yeah.
What about The Rock's daughter? I believe is training in NXT right now.
Exactly.
So the Johnson lineage itself is going to continue.
Yeah.
Exactly. That branch of that family.
Yeah. Now I know I said I'm not talking about the bloodline because we all know that's a family. That's a family affair right there. But I guess you could say when I mentioned Rocky Johnson because he's married into the family, who made Rest in Paradise. And The Rock is part of that family as well, but I wasn't really talking about the bloodline itself. I'm talking about.
But in a way, you can't you. I understand they have their part of the family, but you cannot negate the whole picture of that whole
Yeah.
that whole bloodline, literally of that entire family.
But then if you want for that route, you got to include Naomi, because she married into the family.
She married into the family. So
correct.
Give me a second. Give me a second while I pull up the whole family tree here.
I wanna make mention of somebody I think that is vital to the success of that family, and I don't think he really gets the credit he deserves. And I'm talking about the late great Rodney Anawai, known as Yokozuna.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even think about him.
He was the first. Let's be honest. He was the first member of the Anawai family to not be a Samoan savage.
Exactly.
To break down a cultural and, dare I say, racial barrier in that respect, to where they just saw all the Samoans as, cannibalistic, savages that all kind of did the same gimmick, to include the head shrinkers. And, that was a continuation of the wild Samoans, essentially. I call them the head shrinkers. Some people know them as the Samoan SWAT team, which is Fatu and Samu, aka Fatu, aka Rikishi. And but I think one thing that made Rodney so special is he was the first one to kind of have a gimmick that wasn't a Samoan savage gimmick, and he was one of the greatest big men that ever that ever got in a ring.
Exactly.
Yes. And I know when we said wrestling families, y'all saw the title. I already know the very first thing y'all thought about was the McMahons, and nothing's wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with that, because that is a great wrestling family. You got it, because he married into it. You got to include Triple H. But for us, our brains immediately went to something, I guess you could say, not so common. But with that being said, let's go ahead and break this down. This is not going to be a top 5. This is just what we think of off the top of our brain.
It's going up top of my brain. We still haven't even covered the Hawaii family yet. You keep cutting me off. I'm going to break your arm.
I was finna get into that. So with that, you said give you a minute to look up that whole family.
I did. How long did it take
go ahead.
I mean, it's not like I got your brain. I actually got a working brain over here, for goodness sake.
Go ahead now. What you got? Okay,
so like you said, we talked about Yokozuna. That's his dad is a brother of Sika, or one of the Wild Samoans, and we know Sika's sons as Matthew and Joe, aka Rosie and Roman Reigns. Those two were brothers.
Yeah.
Okay. Salofa Fatu Sr. had 3 sons in the business. Sam Fatu, who was the Tonga Kid. Edward Fatu, who is Umaga, and Salofa Fatu Jr., who is Rikishi.
Yeah.
Those 3 are brothers. And Jacob Fatu, who's on the Indies, great talent.
Former MLW world champion, yes.
MLW world champion. He's the son of Sam Fatu, the Tonga Kid. That's his kid. And we all know who are Rikishi's kids. Jonathan Fatu and Joshua Fatu, aka Jimmy and Jay Uso, and also Solo Sikoa as well. That's on one side. Appa's children. Appa's children. So Appa had Appa Jr., who's known as Manu in WWE. Lloyd Anoa'i, also known as LA Smooth. Appa's daughter Monica married Gary Albright.
Yeah.
He passed away in 2000. So he was part of that family as well. And Samu has a son who's in the business right now, Lance, on Hawaii. So that whole, I'm telling you, this is deep. This is deep. And like you keep on going. Jimmy Uso has a wife, Trinity. We all know her as Naomi. So she's part of the family. And then of course we know Rocky married into the family. The Rock's wife, the Rock's mother Ata. And we all know that Dwayne and his first wife Danny had a daughter, Simone, who's Ava Rain in NXT. So that's the breakdown of the Anoa'i family.
Wow, what a lineage!
Yeah,
Wow,
I mean, it actually keeps going more than that because he forgot to mention the 3-minute warning.
I did. Rosie and Umaga, who was Jamal.
Okay, I must have missed that one. Okay, that's why I kept doing this 3-minute warning. Oh, that is a long list of family members right there. I mean,
right in your eye, sir, right in your eye.
Hey, I don't really wear glasses. Come on now.
right in the eye.
Wait, why did you assume? Hold on, I got to know, man. Why did you assume we all thought of the McMahon family? Because that family hadn't even crossed my mind.
No, I'm not saying y'all. I'm saying people who probably watching this video right now.
No, I think it's just you. I think it's just you.
Do you know who? I'll tell you this. Do you know who the first thing I think of when you mention wrestling families? I think of the fighting fireman from Marietta, Georgia, Bullet Bob Armstrong and the Armstrong family.
That's right. Talk us through that one, man. Talk us through that one. Yes.
I feel like nothing warmed my heart more than to see Bullet Bob get put in the WWE Hall of Fame when he did, because I feel like a lot of these guys that were major draws in the territories don't get the credit they deserve.
Right.
Bob drew money for decades. Bob was one of the most popular wrestlers in the Southeast and continued to be so much that when Jim Cornette started Smoky Mountain Wrestling, he built it around Bullet Bob Armstrong. Like, he knew Bob would still draw money in Knoxville, Tennessee, even in the 1990s when he was far past his prime and in his 50s, right. I believe, already. So it can't be understated how great of a wrestler Bullet Bob Armstrong is. And I challenge anyone that doesn't know his history, hasn't seen him wrestle anything like that in his, during, the 60s, the 70s, go back and look him up, man, because that man had a special talent. And I think Jim Cornette put it best on his podcast when he said that all four of the Armstrong boys got a piece of Bob's talent. Obviously, Brian, the road dog, got the gift of gab from Bullet Bob. Like, he got that entertainment ability that Bob had, that amazing promo ability. Mm-hmm. Brad had that smoothness in the ring that he got from his dad. And Scott and Steve each got some aspects too. Like, it's just unbelievable how talented they all are. Y'all know Scott Armstrong as one of the WWE referees for a long time too, but he also had a long wrestling career prior to that. And Steve on and off again in the wrestling business, having runs, remember with Tracy Smothers and the Young Pistols, aka the Wild Eyed Southern Boys.
Okay.
They just were so talented. You can't be understated that, again, just all of them, all the boys got a piece of Bob, but none of them kind of were the total package like Bob was. But it's amazing, like, that all four of them became successful in professional wrestling.
But I say this, the caveat that granted that Bob didn't have the big stage of WWE and Brian was on that big boom.
Yeah.
In WWF during that Attitude Era with the Generation X.
Yeah.
Even with that big boom, do you think Brian surpasses his father in regards to a legacy in the business?
I wouldn't say he surpassed him in terms of a legacy in the business. I would say definitely to modern fans, he's more well known.
Exactly.
But definitely overall, he had a bigger stage than Bob got, just based on the time frame they were, wrestling. By the time that big stage broke away, in mid '80s, Bob was already barely having a match here and there. He's in his 40s, and he was never going to be a part of that, and that was fine for Bob. But no, I think Bob's legacy still stands true, and it's good. I think that, but I think that I know that, talking to Bob, as I have been fortunate to do in the past, like he's always been one that never wanted to stop giving back to the business either. And that's part of Bob's legacy is he, if he could have the day before he passed away, he'd have been out there doing something. It's just like he lived, eat, and breathed the professional wrestling business. And, even in the 2000s, he'd show up on shows in Pensacola and places like that, and crowds would still show up to see Bob even to that day.
Wow. That's some good history right there.
He had a match. Oh, and if you look it up too, he and Brian tagged together in TNA for a tag team title shot. Didn't get the belts, but Bob came and tagged with Brian one time at a match for the TNA tag team titles, and I can't remember. I think they wrestled LAX, if I'm not mistaken. But it was it's pretty incredible in like 2005 or 6 or whenever that was, that Bullet Bob could come out and have a match on national pay-per-view, and still get in there. But you can't. It's hard, because Brian worships the ground his dad walks on too. If you've ever met Brian, like that's he purposely stole his promos and his ability from his daddy, and he will tell you that. Like he's got no problem telling you that. That's where it all comes from. The ladies and gentlemen, boy, like any of his ability to, with that way of words, that sharp tongue, where he's always witty and has good comebacks and stuff. It comes from Bob, and he doesn't mind telling you he stole it. And whole reason Brian served in the Marine Corps is because Bullet Bob served in the Marine Corps. He wanted to be just like his daddy and follow everything he ever did.
Wow. Nice history there. Nice history. Learn something right there again from you two fellas. Nice.
All right, man up. What family you want to talk about?
Now, the third family that popped in my head, I cannot remember his real name. Talking about Goldust, Cody, and Dusty.
Okay.
Dustin. You're talking about Goldust, Dustin Runnels.
Thank you. And I think
the Runnels family.
Yeah. Now,
that's a good one.
We all know Dusty Rhodes and Goldust, as we all know him to be. The glamorous one, or whatever you want to call him. But to me, I gotta say, when I look at Cody today before he got injured, and by the way, I saw a report saying that he's healing faster than normal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll pray that that's true. But back on topic here, I have to give Dusty Rhodes a lot of props for the legacy that he left behind to his two kids.
Yeah. Because
see, when I'm looking at Cody nowadays, he's basically dedicating every single thing he do to his dad. Yeah. I mean, everything. And to me, when I look at stuff like that, that's telling me that you was close to your kids. They looked up to you and they want to make you proud. And I made Dusty rest in paradise. I think he would be very proud of his two sons. Now I want to go back to Goldust. You said Dustin, right?
Yeah, Dustin.
Okay.
Yeah, Dustin Runnels / Dustin Rhodes. The natural.
I don't know why I can't remember that, but anyway, when you go back to him, we all know, he was the golden one. We knew that was he. If you knew that back then, you probably didn't know that was his son and all that. At first, I did not know that at first, until I saw Cody at one time before he became Stardust, way before he became Stardust. Saw him backstage talking to Dustin, and saw Dusty, walk up on him. They was all talking. I was like, okay. I didn't get it at first.
Yeah.
Kind of find out that they father and sons, brothers, father, sons, whatever, family. And I was like, wow, I did not know that. But then, started watching a little bit more, gained a little bit more interest in those three. Of course, everybody loved Dustin, so let's just push him to the side. But started watching Goldberg a lot more, watching Cody grow up and, coming to his own. I know this was way before then, but I want to skip to when he joined Legacy. With Randy Orton, and I can't think of the other guy's name on top of my head. But when then start watching Cody a lot more, get into his own and start doing his thing, I was amazed. Watching that. Then also too watching Cody when he go to AEW. I guess you could say get that company up and running. That's the topic for another day. And now he coming back to the WWE. I always thought that Cody now putting everything he had, he created a character kind of similar to his dad, the American Nightmare. We all know about the American Dream. And it's like, to me, that's a heartfelt moment in my eyes that Cody is dedicating his wrestling career to his dad. And I just find that so overwhelming that, that Cody is like this, doing things like that. And I hope that he one day do win that title for his dad, like he mentioned before.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely very, very admirable. But before I'm just gonna piggyback on what you said in regards to Dustin playing the Golden One, playing Goldust. That was 95, 96. Dustin had a career before he was Goldust. He was in WCW, multi-time World Tag Team Champion, multi-time. He was also United States Champion,
and he was in the WWF before that.
And he teamed with his father in WWF.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That is why we are here.
Yeah,
I never saw that. Okay,
I was a big fan of Dustin in WCW, absolutely, and him and him and Ricky Steamboat winning the tag team titles was great, and him and Barry Windham winning the tag team titles. I was a big fan of.
Yeah, he battled with Rick Rude over the U.S. title.
Yeah.
Oh, I never knew he teamed with his dad. That's awesome. Okay.
I want to say Royal Rumble 1990, if I'm not mistaken.
It's Ted DiBiase and Virgil, right?
If I'm not mistaken, that's when that happened.
Nice history lesson. Appreciate that.
Yeah. He was in that corner when wasn't he in that corner when they won the tag team titles as well. They beat. I forgot who they beat. They beat the Shield, I think, for the tag team titles.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So Dusty saw his boys win the World Tag Team titles.
Yeah. They
I think that I took a hiatus from wrestling because I did for a while. Okay.
I will tell you this. It pisses me off too as a fan to hear Dustin not get his due. Because I feel like today's wrestling fan and toxic fan following a little bit just measures everybody in stats, and I don't think that you can't do that in pro wrestling. This is not the NBA where we're looking at how many buckets and how many this is not that. This is a predetermined show. This is a athletic event, but this is not a straight up sport. So I don't think it's fair to go off stats, and I don't think it's fair to measure Dustin Rhodes' legacy on the fact that he didn't win the WWF or WCW World Championship. I feel like, I hear that a lot is, oh, well, he never really, lived up to Daddy's potential. I think he did fine. I think Dustin had a great career.
If you go, hold on, he carved off his own little legacy. Goldust was cutting edge at that time.
Yeah.
Oh, that was cutting edge because they're like, well, how could the son of Dusty Rhodes play this eclectic character? What that character was cutting edge at that time.
Yep. Oh, Jeff said that he did carve his own legacy, and like I said, for a while, I don't know, y'all probably knew, but for a while, I did not know that they was family. Because he didn't live off of his dad's legacy.
Well, I knew it was Dustin as soon as I saw his face, like in the paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, he carved his own legacy.
Yeah.
And like Goldust, who doesn't remember when he had his interest, the thing would get all golden and gold dust would actually drop everywhere from the on your TV screen, and he do all that crap. Come on, man.
To this day, people still get replicas of the of his golden Intercontinental Championship with
there you go.
Exactly.
You see that a lot in some belt groups now. People still, you can't forget that character or anything like that. And good Lord, he got decades out of that character. That alone deserves respect.
Exactly.
He should be in the Hall of Fame if he's not already. He should be.
He definitely deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. I don't think there's any doubt. If anybody argues with that,
yeah, definitely.
Come on, man.
We got plenty of arguments of people talking about who should and shouldn't be. Whatever. That's a whole nother topic.
He was Attitude Era before the Attitude Era even came in. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
That's like you're saying how cutting edge he was. And let's be honest, Dustin has said like he was uncomfortable with a lot of aspects of that character at first, but once he realized what it was doing for him, he got into it. He committed, and then he knew like this was getting me what I need in my wrestling career. Like,
oh yeah,
definitely.
Oh, yeah. You very. I ain't gonna lie, I love Goldust.
I liked Booker T and Goldust as a tag team.
Oh, that was fun. I thought that was fun. That's okay.
He brought out another side of Booker T we hadn't seen yet. Let's be honest. Like Booker having the wig on. Booker,
he had that slow talking about.
Remember when he got electrocuted and he got the stutter?
That was golden, man. I loved it. I loved it.
They were great, man. Booker and Dustin they worked off each other so well. It was perfect. You couldn't ask for something better.
It was fun. It did bring out the comedic side of Booker and made everybody like, whoa, I never seen this before.
Yeah, Booker, hadn't seen that side of Booker really. And then like he really, developed and I think that grew Booker into a bigger star.
Yes. All right, who you got there, Mr. Cedric?
Okay. All right. First off, I love where this is going. I see us doing a part 2 to this topic already. Yeah. I already see that, but I'm going to take you old. I'm going to take you old school, and and Joey, you gonna follow along with me, okay? Man up. Do you know who Aurelian Smith is?
Who? Say it one more time.
Aurelian Smith.
I don't think so. No.
You don't know? Okay, you might know him better as Grizzly Smith. You know that name?
No.
Okay, so Grizzly Smith was a wrestler from the 70s. He was a booker for Mid-South Territory, but he had children in this business.
3 of them, right?
3 of them, exactly. I'm about to drop some names on you. He had a daughter in the business that went by Rockin' Robin. Okay. She's a former WWF Women's Champion. He had a son. His name was Michael. He went by Sam Houston. He's a former Mid-Atlantic heavyweight champion.
Wasn't he in World Class as well for a while?
I want to say a short time.
He was in WCW too.
I remember that. Go ahead.
But his most popular son is Aurelian Smith Jr., better known to all of us as Jake the Snake Roberts.
Nice history lesson.
Yeah. So, and we all know what Jake has done in this business, right, Joe?
Absolutely, man. I don't even have to say it. Everybody was entertained by Jake, and Jake, Lord knows, man. Like, he.
When you could talk in harsh tones, man, and you can hit that like that whole cadence that he had, like.
A lot, and I really said this offline, but I think a lot of Bray Wyatt is borrowed from Jake the Snake. I think he draws a lot of inspiration from him with that kind of cerebral promo that he used to cut. The early Bray Wyatt especially cut those very kind of dark cerebral promos that got you thinking you had to, but he played the mind games and get you to follow it. That's what Jake did. Jake Jake would leave you little pieces of the puzzle and let you get it. But then, you know, he led a crazy life. And I'll tell you what, one thing that stands out to me, one of his best feuds ever was with Macho Man Randy Savage.
You think so?
I know.
Tree, that feud and the feud that he had with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat as well.
Yeah.
I remember Jake DDT and Steamboat on the floor. And I listened to them both tell that story. It looked like he killed him. Like boom, like he was gone. He was out. He was.
But the snake biting Randy's in the ropes. The snake biting his dangum arm like live on TV, and I'm like, I'm a kid like, oh my god, he's killing him. Like, oh my! I thought they were.
Do y'all know the history of that? Do y'all know the history of that? I'm pretty sure y'all do.
I've heard Macho. I've heard Jake talk about it before too.
Yep.
About he actually.
No, brother, it bites you first.
He had to get his own leg bitten by the snake to show Randy that it wasn't poisonous, because he was like, you got to do it first. Yeah.
Yep.
And
Jake did it. So now Randy said, okay, go ahead.
No, just, I mean, it was great. To me, if we never got to see quite, oh my gosh, there it is.
Look at him. Look at him. Look at him.
It was great.
Signed by Jake the Snake Roberts.
Look at him.
And
nice.
This is from Jake's mind. This is how much of a genius he was, like, in this. And to work with somebody like Randy, who was just as creative as him. And man, and Jake had heat, brother. Let me tell you. he got when he got to turn heel, boy. They let the dog loose on that. Jake was able to. I don't think we fully got it, because I know originally, before Jake left the company, he was supposed to work with Bret Hart after Bret won the WWF title, and Jake was supposed to be in that main event program with Bret, and they were supposed to wrestle at Survivor Series 92. But then we all know Jake ended up leaving the company.
Yeah.
So.
Nice.
Yeah, I took you on a little trip there. You saw that? I took you on a little trip.
It was great. I don't know any fan. I don't know anybody. I mean, you can say what you want about Jake in his personal life, you know, and all the struggles he went through, and then, you know, the great thing about, you know, Dallas Page really helping him, getting him cleaned up, and now Jake's in a better position today. He's going to spend the rest of his life hopefully sober, and you know, and can you imagine being in that AEW locker room with Jake, though, and getting to sit under that learning tree?
Exactly.
That's the time if he was talking, I'd just be like this, my mouth would be shut, and I'd be like, what can I learn from this man about how to get out here and get myself some, you know, attention? Because Jake, let me tell you something, Jake was a babyface when Hogan was on. I mean, like, but Jake still, he had his place on that card, and you knew about it, you know, like Jake he was never second to anybody.
Exactly.
Okay. That's nice. Nice history lesson there, fellas. Thank you there, Mr. Cedric. I did not know that. I mean, of course, we all know about Jake Snake Roberts, but of course.
That's why I took you on that trip. I built you up. Then I dropped that name on you, and you're like, boy. I booked that with you beautifully.
Yes, you did. I can't argue. Like you tell me, golf clap, sir. Golf clap.
Guess what else, man? Since you're wearing a referee shirt, bet you didn't know that Jake the Snake started his career as a referee.
Exactly.
I didn't know that. Yes, I did.
Did you hear his story about driving Andre the Giant around? You got to look that up sometime. Back in the 70s, when Andre came in the territory, it was Jake's job to drive him to the towns. Because Andre would stop at, you know, any gas station and buy he'd buy like a box of wine, a case of beer, and he'd have it drunk in 3 hours by the whole time the next day. So if you get a chance, look that up on YouTube and listen to Jake talk about that. It's great. Like, Jake paid his dues. Let's say that.
I was just thinking about all the stories when you talk about Andre Johnson. Andre the Giant. I'm thinking about my Houston, Texas. But anyway, Andre the Giant, all the damn drinking they'd say he would do. He would go to bars, have like 300 beers. I'm like, God damn.
So I'll give you another wrestling family you probably aren't thinking of, and this goes out to our Canadian watchers and friends, the Rougeau family.
Okay.
You got Jacques and Ramon, as everybody knows, the fabulous Rougeau brothers. Everybody knows Jacques is the Mountie, and as one half of the Quebecers, for his many different characters and versions of characters and reigns. And then, of course, a lot of people didn't know that Jacques Senior was a legendary promoter up in Montreal, and he's the one that kind of gave birth to both his son's career, trained them both in everything, and. There's a little bit of history there, especially up in the Montreal area. Everybody knows Jacques, and that's what led to when WCW was up there. Famously, some people know it, some people don't, that Jacques actually beat Hollywood Hulk Hogan on a card in Montreal, and Hogan went out of his way to make sure he put Jacques over in his hometown.
Nice.
Okay. Another one. I guess I am going to lead back a little bit to the how do you say it?
Anoa'i.
Yeah, whatever. Because one of my all-time favorite wrestlers is Rikishi. Okay. I'm pretty sure that people knew that. If you know me, you know me well. I love Rikishi. Always loved Rikishi. And I knew he was head shrink or whatever it was back in the day. I knew that before he came. What he
SWAT team back in WCW.
The Samoan SWAT team.
Yeah. And I knew all that, but I don't know. I've always been a huge fan of him, even when he turned heel when he ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh my God!
I did it for The Rock.
Yeah, but
it didn't work.
I have to mention his sons, the Usos, because if you're gonna talk about Rikishi and we're talking about wrestling families, you got to mention the Usos. And I love when the Usos first came out and they had the basketball shorts with the face paint, that stuff, and they will always do that Samoan dance on the stage. I love the fact that they kept up with their heritage and stuff like that, because a lot of times that can get lost in the characters that they play and what we know them to really be and all that good stuff. So I did love that, and I did love when they first, I guess you could say when they first debuted as well. They also create I ain't gonna say created, let me change that. What's the word on top of my head? They also dedicated, there we go, a lot of their stuff to their dad as well, and he would show up, here and there with them as well.
Yeah.
So, if I'm not mistaken, it's been a few times he showed up in the ring as well, ringside with them, but I know he was backstage with them a lot, and he still is to this day. A lot of people don't know that. But I don't know. When I look at Rikishi and his two sons, I'm not talking about the other one. I can't think his name off the top of my head. God damn. I am getting old. Sikoa, yeah. I'm not talking about him because he's just now really getting known. I know he was known in NXT as the street champ, but I'm talking about the Usos because they've been doing this way longer, like 12, 13 years, whatever it is. Rikishi, to me, he also set a legacy for his sons. Now, I'm not talking about the rest of the family. I'm just talking about him and his sons. He set a legacy, and I do love the fact that their legacy is not really so much dependent on what they set, what dad said, but they're taking that and they're creating their own thing. And to me, that's always been a special moment. Just like, I'll mention this other family a little bit later, but because there's another one that's on top of my head. But I love the fact that you see something, you say, okay, I'm gonna take that, but I'm gonna modify it into something different, something that's fit just for me. Because that's what you have to, like I was saying with Goldust and Dusty, something completely different. He took the legacy. My dad created this for me. He created a platform for us. Now I'm gonna take this same platform and I'm gonna try to make it better. I'm going to try, whether I do it or don't, I'm going to try to do that. And I think that's what the Usos are doing with their dad, if that makes sense how I'm putting that.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. A smaller part of a bigger family, and that definitely their effect in forging their own in wrestling business. I get what you're saying. All right, now let's talk about some more wrestling families. All right. Let's talk about the Andersons, Joe. Let's talk about some Andersons.
Gene and Ole, baby, back in the 70s.
Yes, sir.
But long before Arn, you had Gene Anderson was the original Anderson, and then of course Ole was like the little cousin or little brother at first, and then Ole became old, and Gene retired, and then we got Double A Arn Anderson, who was wrestling. I believe he was wrestling in Mid South for a while under his real name Marty Lundy, and then Flair saw him, got him over to Mid Atlantic, and then saw him and Ole like right next to each other and was like,
Isn't Ric Flair a cousin of the Andersons?
Yeah, the storyline cousin of the Andersons. That's how the Horsemen really got started. You know, he was the storyline cousin of, because they were like, well, he's from Minnesota too originally. You know, like up there with the Andersons and stuff. So yeah, and then look how it expanded. In ECW, we had how do you do it? CW Anderson. The 90s version, kind of addition to it, where he kind of claimed he was part of it, you know, even though we all know he wasn't. But
exactly,
give respect. CW was good, and then the more modern one, Carl Anderson, kind of using the Anderson name as, and not really ever coming out and saying I'm an Anderson, but
exactly,
if you use that name, you're implying.
In the grand scheme of things, none of those guys were related.
None of them at all.
None of them at all were related. However, it has brought out one Anderson, Arn's son, Brock Anderson. Yeah. So that is truly the only Anderson, technically, from that lineage, but it's all not actual Andersons.
Brock looks a lot like Arn. He just needs to hit the steakhouse a little more.
Exactly.
Fill out a little bit, look a little bit more, another 20, 30 pounds, he'd be more like Arn. You know,
exactly. That, and you stay away from scissors, right?
Oh, no.
I'm wrong.
Hey.
I'm wrong.
Well, then so to come off of that now, then we have to address one of the most famous families in the history of wrestling, Texas's own, the Von Erich family.
Yes, the Von Erich family, of course. Definitely. Oh, the patriarch, good old Fritz Von Erich. Him and Waldo did a Nazi gimmick back in the day, didn't they?
Yes, they did. And and it's amazing that all of his kids became some of the biggest baby faces in the business.
Exactly.
Like, you know.
Yeah. Yes, it is a true family. Their last name is actually Atkinson.
Except for
Lance Von Erich. Who is that madman? He's a cousin of the Von Erichs.
Well, let's be honest. All the boys kind of favored each other enough to where you could tell they were brothers. You know, except for Lance. And the fans didn't buy it, and it didn't work out. But
Fritz tried, though. He tried.
He really tried. I mean, he was similar in build and height enough to where, like, they thought they were going to buy it. But as we all know, that's a sad story. And we only have Kevin now. But let's give credit where credit is due, because his boys are a pretty formidable tag team in their own right. And that's Marshall and is it Marshall and
Ross?
Marshall and Ross, the Von Erichs, have been in Major League Wrestling for a while. I am so surprised WWE has never wanted
try to capitalize on that legacy.
Either that, I mean, even without the Von Erich name, those guys are talented and they both got good looks.
Exactly, they do.
What in the hell are they waiting on? I don't know if they have like real jobs and they don't want to leave those or something. Or
no, exactly. Oh, also, Carrie's daughter, Lacey Von Erich, had a brief stint in TNA. Yeah. Former Impact Knockout champion. Yeah. So there's that as well.
She also was one of the promoters involved with SWE Fury down in Texas.
Exactly. Yeah. So but yeah, like I said, we could truly go on for hours. So we're definitely going to make this a part 2. Which we'll come back and we're going to talk about more families. But because we have barely scratched the surface with this though.
I got a ton of them in my brain right now.
But save it because we gonna
get it out. I can't.
Nope. You are going to save the sir because we're gonna make everybody come back for part 2 of Wrestling Families. But in the meantime, between time, while you're watching this video, go ahead and hit that like button and hit that subscribe button and hit that notification so you know when the next time we dropping that video. And also, Joey, tell us about that Facebook group.
Man, you got to get in the Bells of Belts Facebook group. Right there, you see in the logo right beside me in the back. This way right here. There.
up there, over here, down there.
I'm 43. I still can't tell my left from my right. All right. Anyway, but yes, look us up on Facebook. If you can't find us for whatever reason, just drop a comment. YouTube, if you're watching, please do, because hey, since we'll be doing a part 2 of this, we want your feedback. What families didn't we mention that you want us to talk about in part 2? We gotta know.
So many.
There is so many. Yeah, that we were not gonna be able to cover it in one show. So you know what? We're gonna come back and we're gonna do it again, man up.
Yes. I tell you this, I'm predicting at least a 5-part series of this, at least. Because there are so many wrestling families and so-called wrestling families. They not family, but they made you believe they were family. So we can go on and on and on about this. I love this topic. So with that being said, I thank y'all for joining us. We want to see y'all next time. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like, that subscribe, hit all notifications so when we do drop a video, you will be notified and you can join in on the fun. Go ahead and ring that bell. With that being said, me and my tag team partners, we'll see y'all later.